there guys, welcome to Malifaux, and tonight we've got a game against my nemesis, the dreaded Hiddlefon. This guy's actual occupation is to kick my ass as hard as he can at Malifaux, and the man is damn good at his job. He's been taking some time out of Malifaux recently, so he's a little bit rusty. He hasn't played that many games this year, and I figure now is the perfect time to strike. So I'm going to test my McMorning against his Nelly. I've got some tournaments coming up, and I figure there's no better person to play to really stretch myself. That and Mr. Hiddlefon is just a good laugh. So for terrain, we've got forests. The spiky fences are hazardous height 2 severe soft cover. Impassable height 5 or so building, the black bit doesn't count as anything. Hard cover impassable gateway wall things. Height 1 soft cover obstacles, and these we're treating as forests but with the hard cover rule. This piece of terrain in the centre is otherwise open ground except for these height 1 climbable walls, soft cover I think. I lose deployment and set up first, and I've taken the crew I'm most comfortable with, so we've got Chiaki the Niece, Rotten Bell, Carrion Emissary, who's actually in this forest, I just couldn't put him there because these trees can't be removed. Rowan Nilsson with my little helper, and the emissary's got McMorning's Conflux. Zombie Chihuahua, Nurse, Sebastian with Those Are Not Ours, and McMorning himself with Plastic Surgery, Moonlighting, and Decaying Aura, because I am totally unoriginal. My opponent's got his patented Nelly crew. We've got Fiona Gage with Transparency and Wrath of the Guild, Master Queeg with those despicable promises, Nelly Cochran with embedded and misleading headlines, Francisco Ortega, good old Frank the Skank with Depth to the Guild and Wade In, Johan with Numb to the World, and I'm actually pretty happy that that's on him. I hate it when Francisco takes this, and Johan, good though he is somewhat down the chain on my priority list. Printing press, and an executioner. And the man is ready to work. So yeah, this is the Nelly crew that gave me my most vicious ass spanking to date, where he tabled me by turn 3, the only damage I dealt to him being from my own blood. I'm hoping things will go a little bit better this time. But yeah, I know this is a tough crew. I have an advantage, I know which schemes he's going for. Because if he didn't take Show of Force and Dig Their Graves, he'd be a moron, and I know Hiddlefon is not a moron. I, on the other hand, am, because I actually did reveal my schemes just before we started playing. Don't ask. This guy just, he's all in my head, and putty in his hands. So I was going to do Claim Jump and Dig Their Graves. Claim Jump because I know his crew likes to be really killy in a particularly central place, and doesn't struggle, but it makes it harder for him to split his guys up and go either side. So I quite like Claim Jump with these nice cover terrain features on the side of the board. Dig Their Graves is a bit of a difficult one with McMorning. He kills really well and can drop scheme markers fairly well. And honestly, it is rather rare that anyone actually dies of poison, but there is that counter synergy, but I've taken it because it's familiar, and if I don't kill at least a few things, then I've probably lost this game anyway. Leave Your Mark is hard, especially against Nelly, as she hangs back and can easily go and pick on your runner and remove your scheme markers. Show of Force is not happening, and Hidden Trap I just consider to be one of the hardest schemes in the game, as it seems to me that you either have to control your opponent with a real degree of skill, or get totally beaten up by them and score as a kind of like a desperation move. So yeah, after being a total asshat and accidentally revealing Claim Jump before the game started, I had to quickly switch my plans and choose another scheme, which I chose Hidden Trap, because why not? Let's do this. Turn 1, High Crow, that's what I like to see. I win the initiative and give the guild the first activation. I think it's a printing press or something. I'll say right here, I'm doing this video a week or so after the fact, so my memory is a little bit hazy. Bear with me on some of these moves. I go with the Nurse, hit McMorning for 4 poison, and then walk her up over here, ensuring to leave a gap for his base between her and the hazardous terrain. I often like to put him on 8 poison at this start of the game, but I figure the nurse's services are probably going to be in demand in turn 2, so I want her up as far as forward as I can. I think Nelly ditches evidence to skip an activation, so the Chihuahua goes up and bites McMorning and then gives him an extra 2 poison. Nelly skips an activation. I go with the Carrion Emissary, he walks up over here, puts up his shards, goes defensive. Nelly skips an activation. I go up with Chiaki over here, nice and safe on the flank. Nelly skips an activation. Rowan Nilsson just runs up all the way over here to hide behind the markers. I like putting her forward nice and far, turn 1. Hidden behind the shards and other terrain, she's generally quite safe, and then in turn 2 I can pop my little helper and make things a little bit tricky for my opponent. Nelly finally does something by sending Francisco out over here just a little bit, giving El Mayor to Master Queeg, who was back here. Sebastian just walks up to the fence. I want to be in range to summon a dog off the zombie next turn. Master Queeg wades through the forest to about here, dropping a scheme marker, putting up his aura that allows other people to drop scheme markers for free. The Bell walks up and tries to lure him and fails. And this really is such a strength of the guild crew. Master Queeg's giving everyone around him these free interacts to drop markers, positives to their attack flips and positive to their willpower flips, which makes these elite models super dangerous and really, really hard to pull apart. Master Queeg himself is now with El Mayor at willpower 8 and positive flips. He is going nowhere. Fiona Grage comes up quite aggressively to these barrels, making sure to keep her defences up high by being in contact with terrain, but I think forgets to drop a scheme marker. So now I've just got McMorning left to activate and he's still got half his crew. So powerful when you've got a crew that's as elite as this. So this is where I make a huge mistake. The way my opponent deployed with his henchmen like Fiona and Master Queeg over on this side and the Executioner and Johan over this side means that I want McMorning over this side to deal with the henchmen and to make it awkward for the Executioner to get to him easily. The Executioner can go a massive distance, but every AP he's using to get there is one less execution trigger I have to deal with. So my plan going into this game was to switch the sides with McMorning, basically send McMorning and Sebastian over this side, and get the Carrion and Rafkin over this side. Kill his models over here and hold and just choke down with dogs and zombies over here. So I engage the plan, poison push McMorning over to here, and then walk him up round to here. And then I decide to play risky, which you should never do against someone who's better than you at this game, and I decide to use McMorning as bait. I'm worried about the Executioner, and I figure he can get to McMorning over here if Nelly places him next to in base contact with this marker and then gets him charging in. And I want to suck that threat out early if I can. I figure McMorning is a pretty tough guy. I reckon he'll survive this turn, and hopefully the guild will have overextended such that I can punish them subsequently. So I pop McMorning up around by this marker, out of line of sight of Nelly. Got some cover, threatening Fiona Grage, and go defensive. Completely forget to use my injection on anybody, and yeah, this was absolutely awful. What I should have done is conceal my plans for where he's going to go, keep him well back, just drop markers, and definitely not forget to injection something useful, like say Rafkin, and just get Dig Graves markers down so I don't have to do it later. Then Nelly goes and uses a scheme marker that was back here to push 6 inches into range and line of sight of McMorning. She propagandas him, easily winning the duel, pushing him over to get hit by Fiona. She gives me negatives to willpower. I get propaganded again. I get hit again. I think there was a smell of fear this time. And a scheme marker is dropped. And my soul stones preventing 1 damage each time. Good old soul stones. I get propaganded again, this time being teleported over to the marker that Master Queeg dropped, and oh good god, that's not good. So after all that, McMorning's taken 7 or 8 damage and 3 burning. Given how much fun it seems beating up the Doctor, the Executioner wants in on it, and he pops his upgrade, goes in for the charge. And finally defensive starts working for me, and my soul stones start, actually preventing some damage. So McMorning emerges with 5 wounds remaining. Can't complain about that. Johan decides not to go for the finishing blow. It might be that he couldn't draw a line of sight to McMorning, perhaps? So he walks around here and then strips my poison off so I can't push away to safety. And that's how we end things turn 1. Oh my goodness. This shit hit the fan pretty quickly. So we're going to turn 2. Fucking tense! And look at that hand. If I get the initiative, McMorning's going to rip the heart out of this guild crew. So I declare to the room at large, if fate will let me win this initiative flip, I'm going to drop my shorts right here where I stand. I am not even kidding. But I'm flipping against Hildolfon. He flips like a 12, I flip a 3. As this pretty much decides the game, I spend my last soulstone, and it's not enough. Which is ultimately probably for the best, because no one wanted to see the consequences of me winning this, and I'd probably regret a lifetime ban from Darksphere. The inevitable happens, Nelly goes, and I think uses Francisco's attacks to beat on the still defensive McMorning. I do actually cheat in some cards, just trying to keep him up as a kind of just out of desperation, but I really shouldn't. He's super dead because Francisco is just going to companion next if Nelly doesn't kill him. But in the end, it's Nelly's propaganda that puts the nail in the doctor's coffin herself. And I'm back in the all too familiar position of being spanked like a naughty child by this guy. Oh my god, I'm so stupid. So yeah, what I was thinking of, if I'd won the initiative, would have been to Rancid Transplant Nelly, 2, 4, 6, 8 poison. Hit her a few times with surgical implements. If I can make 2 damage stick and a little bit of extra poison, I can expunge her with the red Joker, and I'll get a flesh construct in the middle of all these guys that just slow them down. And they'll definitely take out McMorning, but they'll spend the rest of the turn dealing with each other, and we're both down a queen at that point. Nelly wouldn't have any evidence to push me away, but it's still, you know, a risky prospect. He's got Soulstones, is more than possible. He could prevent me from doing the damage I need to kill her with the expunge. And an alternative would have been to kill the Executioner. I would really like to get to Frank, but the way he's positioned, it looks like I wouldn't have been able to get my base through to get within 1 inch of Francisco. And this is just a good example of really good placement. But there we go guys, that's how it happened, and now I've really got a hole to dig myself out of. Nelly finished off her activation by inciting Rafkin from 12 inches away. As a 0 action, that is just total bullshit. Such a strong power. So Rafkin, without much to do, wanders up over here to be, you know, in cover and safe, louder line of sight, and within 2 inches of the marker. Johan comes out and just lock her down. My Carrion Emissary comes up, blocks line of sight, attacks Fiona a bit. I probably waste some time with the zombie as well. It's quite hard to remember activation order when Nelly can just skip it. And it's possible she skips a few activations during this turn because, yeah, she's not really under very much pressure. So I've got Chiaki up again, just put bodies around markers, drop a scheme marker, try to shoot Fiona, it's not happening. I get the Chihuahua up to just be threatening. And the Executioner super doesn't like that little doggy and goes for him. And amazingly, the Chihuahua lives. Go, little doggy! Fiona beats the shit out of the Emissary and Chiaki, dropping lots and lots of markers. The Bell's trying to lure somebody. I think she was trying to lure the printing press and failed. Francisco wades in and starts beating on shit. The nurse paralyzes the Executioner. That was great. And Sebastian's got himself up, summoned a canine remains off of the mindless zombie, and I would be ever so grateful if it would hit the Executioner for 2 poison, but I completely miss. So at the end of turn we both score guard the stash. It's possible that the guild scored dig their graves on McMorning, I can't remember, but they do score show of force. Turn 3 my hand abandons me, but that's okay. I've got this one in the bag, whatever. Can't remember what happens, probably lose the initiative, and Fiona ends my Carrion Emissary, scoring Dig Their Graves, and beats on Chiaki a bit for good measure. Looks like Chiaki's gone in on Fiona, goodness knows what I'm doing here. It isn't damage, I can tell you that. Master Queeg comes in nice and central, and takes out the Bell with his Kinky Whip of Doom. Interestingly, he's now cut off line of sight from Fiona. If I had an Emissary, I could potentially have killed her this turn and got her point for Dig the Graves, but it wasn't to happen. So the bell's gone, but at least I've got a nice corpse marker I can turn into a dog. Or not, because Francisco companions and then Red Joker Sebastian to death, because it's not enough. That Francisco will almost certainly kill him with a flurry. Hiddlefon just has to put the boot in. So there goes my backup plan. Honestly, don't remember what Nelly was doing this turn. It probably involved beating on the emissary or Chiaki. I've got zombies wandering around. Johan is attacking Rafkin and actually flubbing, which was very much appreciated. The nurse has paralysed Fiona, which was fantastic, and also given the dog hallucinogens so that I can really get rid of this executioner. The dog, however, flubs all of his attacks, and is up for the Chihuahua to salvage at least something by walking over into the middle and poisoning everybody. Which I wonder if that should have happened because of the height 1 wall and height 1 Chihuahua. I don't think the pulse should have actually gone out beyond the walls. But never mind. Rafkin goes and successfully disengages from Johan. Fantastic. I walk around in to engage the executioner, and because I popped my little helper this turn, sorry I didn't mention that at the beginning, I murder him with extreme prejudice. And so at the end of the turn we both score guard the stash and the guild get show of force. Turn 4, hooray! I've made it this far. It's time to fuck things up even more. I get the initiative and I need to protect Chiaki this turn. So I've forgotten that I've paralysed Fiona. I target her with Take the Meds, trying to paralyse her or get the crow mask so that she can only take interact actions and end up giving her armour and negative flips instead, even though she's paralysed. Sigh. So I give meds to Chiaki and paralyse and full heal her, which was okay, yeah, I'll take that, but it would have been nice to full heal her and give her armour. Or put Francisco at negative flips, or just do something else than what I did. So because I've wasted my one chance to perhaps do something meaningful, Nelly comes in and pushes Rafkin over here to be engaged, damages her a little bit, but can't finish her off, and so he wanted a companion with Francisco, but he'd already activated the printing press. So hooray, Rafkin might actually do something this turn anyway before she dies, but no! Nelly's got insight, so she incites the zombie. So it's pretty much like she's got 3 activations in a row. Except that the zombie is really, he's having a bad day. And he hits Master Queeg with the Red Joker for damage. Not enough to kill him, but he's pretty hurt now. Master Queeg goes and kills Rafkin. And we played this rule wrong, so as he killed her, he pushed her into range of the scheme marker, scoring Dig Their Graves. And this is something that gets played wrong quite often, but pushes that occur after damaging cannot push models that have been reduced to 0 wounds, because the model has died and been removed. As per FAQ 68, under actions and abilities found across multiple factions. No worries, there's plenty more dying to happen to score him those points. So at the end of the turn things look like this. The nurse survives Francisco. My dog escapes engagement with Johan, but I failed the first one, so I can't drop a marker. And basically my whole plan now is just drop as many markers as I can and try to score a hidden trap. I get a zombie from Rafkin, thanks to my little helper. Turn 5. I lose the initiative. Francisco wades in over here and kills my canine remains. It's going to make markers dropping difficult. The nurse goes and drops a marker. Nelly goes and kills Chiaki with like 4 damage from her casting. Seriously, she's a brute. And because he's scared my zombie's going to go and finish the job on Master Queeg, who's got like 1 or 2 wounds left and is heavily poisoned, she gets Francisco over here and gets him to kill the zombie off. I get my other zombie onto this marker just to try to protect things, under the pretense of just dicking around. Johan wanders over and whacks my Chihuahua, and my opponent decides to end things there. I do ask, if he's sure, if he wants to, just play out the last activations anyway. But he's sure, and so we end the game like this, and I score Hidden Trap, which Fiona could potentially have denied me a point of. But I'm 100% taking that. So, final scores. Well, the guild scored all the points. 4 points for Guard the Stash, 3 points for Show of Force, and 3 points for Dig Their Graves. McMorning and the Resurrectionists scored 2 points for Guard the Stash, No, wait, 3 points for Guard the Stash, no points for Dig Their Graves, and 3 points for Hidden Trap, making this game 10-6 to the Guild. Great game, utter smashing. My opponent was a little bit unhappy with how he played. He made a few more mistakes than normal, but as I pointed out, it's really, making less than optimal moves than normal, because I was never in a position where I could really make anything of those mistakes. So yeah, defining moment of the game was this mistake from me, moving McMorning far too far forwards. Definitely should have played it cagey and stayed back and made, lots of markers on this first turn, but I just can't help myself. It's kind of hard to discuss the rest of the game because I was playing it by the seat of my pants. I needed to get more poison out so that Sebastian could do his thing. Having Rafkin go against Johan with Numbs the World was really harsh because she needs poison to get her thing going. So yeah, this was yet another humbling experience, and I am looking forward to the rematch. Take care.